Hello everybody, Bruce here with a video that's going to show you how to create a temperature converter using Python. And in this example, we're going to be creating a temperature converter that converts a temperature entered in Celsius and convert it to a temperature in Fahrenheit. In fact, this example is in chapter 2 of the textbook. If I didn't say that already, I forgot. But let's get started. I'm in Visual Studio Code and Microsoft Windows, and I'm going to make the window bigger. So I'm just going to double click right here on this bar. And now Visual Studio Code is maximized. I'm going to click over here to open up the File Explorer, and I'm going to click on Open Folder, and I'm going to click up here, New Folder, and then I'm just going to call it Converter. That's it. And I'm going to select that folder. So there it is, and it has no files, right? Because it's a new folder. So now I'm going to create a new file, a new Python file. I'm going to call it Celsius-Fahren. Let me make sure I spell it right. .py. Okay. So now I have a new Python file, right? And that's great. So I'm going to close the sidebar here, the Explorer, right? I'm also going to close the Welcome tab. I don't need that. And I'm going to step through the process here, right? So the problem, right? Let me just do this, right? So I'm putting a multi-line comment in here. Create a program that allows a person to enter in a temperature in Celsius and then convert it to a temperature in Fahrenheit, right? So there we go, right? So let's break this down a little bit. Again, we're not coding anything yet, right? So we need to create our inputs, processes, and outputs because we're new at this stuff, right? So inputs. So what do you think we need from a person before we can convert anything? We need a temperature in Celsius, right? So temperature in Celsius, right? You all agree? Yeah, good. So the processes that we need to perform are convert Celsius, right, to Fahrenheit, right? And just so you know, I did some research, and it's in the book, right? There's a formula that says 9/5 times the Celsius temperature plus 32 will give you a Fahrenheit temperature. So I just wanted to show you that, right? So it's 9/5 times Celsius plus 32. That's the process that we're going to need to perform. I didn't need to write this in here in the IPO, but I wanted to have it there for you. In fact, I'll just stick it in parentheses right now. Again, this is just a comment, right? And then the output, right? Outputs, right, are going to be temperature in Fahrenheit, right? So there we go. So I'm going to do this a little bit different than it's in the textbook. I'm just going to write without any of this def main kind of stuff for now. So we'll get there, all right? So check it out. So we need a number. We need an input from a person. And typically when you enter in a temperature, the person on the radio or the TV or wherever you get your weather from, right? They're going to say it's, I don't know, 75 degrees. They're not going to say it's 75.5 degrees or 75 and a third degrees. It's kind of a whole number. So anytime you need a whole number, a whole like integer, right? In Python, you got to think to use the input function and then int. So watch this. Ready? So let's create a variable called Celsius. And that's going to hold the integer that the user inputs. Okay, so check this out. Now we need a string as a prompt inside of our input. Please enter temperature in Celsius. okay? So this is the one statement that's going to prompt a person to enter in, it's going to prompt them with the text, the string of text, please enter temperature in Celsius, okay? And then we're going to take whatever they enter, right? And we're going to force it to be an integer. And if you remember from prior videos, by default, input takes everything that it gets, that a person types in, and it's a string by default, and then this is how we convert it to an integer. And be careful with your parentheses. It's really important to match the parentheses. Opening parenthesis here, closing there, opening parenthesis here, closing parenthesis there. All right? So this is the input, right? So let me just copy this line, just so you can see. I should have done this before, right? So here, right, that's the input. And now let me copy this line here, right? This is going to be the process. So, okay, and I should have made this a comment, right? Because the computer, this is for Bruce to see, right? So now we need to perform the conversion, right? So essentially, we need a new variable, because variables hold things. Fahrenheit, lowercase f. You should start your variable names with lowercase letters, all right? Lowercase letters, okay? So here we go. Now we need this formula, right? 9/5 times Celsius plus 32. So check this out. 9 divided by 5, right? That's how we need to create an expression here. 9 divided by 5 times Celsius, and Celsius is a variable that we have defined on line 13, right? Plus 32, okay? So we'll go through this in a minute, okay? Just so you know. So before we go any further, I just wanted to show you one thing. Because when you write this code, how are you going to know it's right or not, right? So I did some, mathematics on my little calculator, right? So 0 degrees C, right, is equal to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? Just so you know, right? And 100 degrees Celsius equals 212 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? So just so you know, all right? So that's that, maybe. And then we need to perform our output here. Again, we are developing instructions that the computer, Python, is going to take, execute top to bottom, and do this stuff for us, right? It's like, I hate to say it, it's kind of like a computerized math thing, you know? All right, so here we go. So can I just say print right now, and we'll just keep it simple. Fahrenheit? Can I just do that? Can I just print out the converted value there? So if we test 0, it should come out as 32 when we run this program, right? It should, right? Check it out. Run Python file and terminal. So here we go. Let's enter in 0. What did we get? We got 32. So is our algorithm, is our recipe, is our set of commands correct? It is. Yay! Give yourself a round of applause. Let's do another one. Let's run it again here. Let's run Python file and terminal. Enter 100. And what is the expected result for 100? It should come out as 212. Okay, here we go. And it did. It came out as 212 degrees, right? So yay, we wrote a simple temperature converter, right? But we're not done yet. I mean, we're done, but we could make it better, all right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to make this print statement a little bit more meaningful and do stuff like this. And I like single quotes, just so you know. Okay, you can use double quotes, so check this out. So the first thing is I want to display the temperature, like, 0 Celsius is, 32 Fahrenheit. So check this out. So I'm going to put Celsius as the variable. And then I'll put the word here, Celsius, as a string, because that's text I want to print out. You'll see in a moment. Is, and then it's going to print out the Fahrenheit value in Fahrenheit, right? So I should put Celsius capital like that, all right? So let's run this one more time. Okay, here we go. Right click, run Python file in terminal. So let's go back, 0. So it says 0 Celsius is 32.0 in Fahrenheit. That's more human-like, right? More readable, all right? So there you go. We wrote a temperature converter. Now, in the textbook, what they do is since when you write programs, you may have the need to like convert temperatures over and over again. Like you may have this massive program that I don't know what it's going to do, but you may need to reuse code. And what we like to say in programming is keep it dry, D-R-Y. Don't repeat yourself, right? So yeah, don't repeat yourself, D-R-Y. Don't repeat yourself, because you want to reuse things and not have to rewrite things over and over again, right? So what we can do, right, and the textbook does it this way, is they do this. And main, actually, we'll call it main, and then I'll show you something else. So I define this thing called main, and now I'm going to take all of this code, highlight it, and then hit the tab key. Yeah. So now all of this code can be run by doing this. M-A-I-N, and then the open and closing parentheses. I'll save it, and watch this. Ready? Run Python file in terminal. And again, I'll just enter 0, and there it is, right? So anytime in my program I want to like call this temperature converter or run this program, I can call it main. So main is a poor name, but if I want to say Celsius _2 Fahrenheit, like that, that may be a better name for this bunch of code here, Celsius to Fahrenheit. So again, I just named it. I defined this functionality that performs this conversion, and anytime I want to run it, I just call it like this. So let me run it like this, and I'll just enter 100, right? And there's a conversion. And then, right, if I want to run it again, I'll just rob and duplicate, copy, paste, right? Watch this. So if I do this, run Python file in terminal, so I'll enter 0, and then I'll run it again, I'll do 100, because it called it twice, right? Now, just so you know, we'll take it, I promise, this is the last thing, right? So here, we like repeated ourselves, did we not? We repeated the fact that we want to call the converter twice. So just know, lots of different ways to do this, but since this is only the second week of the class, we could do a counted loop. We can say for I in range of 2, right? And then we're just gonna get rid of this, boink, boink. And now this function, this thing we wrote, this magical set of statements here that performs a temperature conversion, we'll be able to run it twice, right? So here we go, run Python file in terminal. So here we go, here's the first one, 0. And I'll just do 44 for the next one, and done, right? So if you want to run this, like, 5 times, you could do it that way. The other way to do this, just to show you, I lied because last time I said this was going to be it. But what I can do is actually put the loop inside of here, right? I can say for I in range of, 5, right? And then I can indent this code because remember, anytime you see a colon like this, the code below it's going to be indented. And then, right, I can just do this. Call that Celsius to Fahrenheit. It's going to go up here, and then it's going to repeat this code 2 times. So just know, and that's kind of the problem with this stuff, is there's always multiple different ways to write stuff. It's not like there's one solution for your code. So ready? Run Python file in terminal. Here we are. I'll do 44, 22, and it ran twice. All right? So you'll learn later on in the course that you can actually tell this function that we wrote, this command that we wrote, how many times to run when we call it. But we're not going there right now. All right? So go back, watch this video again. There's code in the textbook as well, but hopefully this will give you a better understanding of how we took some input, we performed a process on it, which was a little mathematical expression, 9/5 times Celsius plus 32, right? And then printed out the result. And by the way, I like to put parentheses around like this kind of stuff on line 23, just like that. It'll still run just fine, all right? So I like to over parenthesize things, but that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. The code is in the textbook, and the code is also in Canvas for the entire book in Module 0. It's in the textbook resources page in Canvas. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time out to watch these instructional videos. Have a great day.